Hey guys, so if you watched my previous video, I spoke a lot about converting a smaller image onto a larger paper and how to measure the proportions correctly. So just to kind of recap, this is the model I did before. And I just kind of explained what all these lines mean, but this is a model looking straight forward at you, which is probably the easiest portrait to do. This, however, is a 3/4 view, which can get pretty tricky. So I just want to recap the notes from the previous video, only on a 3/4 view face, okay? So if I were starting this, the first thing I would start with is the simple shape of her face. So in this case, I want to look at the pointiest part of her chin and maybe designate an axis line, which is going right through the pointy part, this little V part of her lip, and going down to the pointy part of her chin and right up in between the eyes. So I would kind of start to establish that a little bit. Then I want to look at corner from corner of the eye to corner of the eye, like so, and go this way here. That's got a little tilt to it this way and a little curve to it. Then I want to look at where's the septum, which is right here. That's going to designate the nose line. And then I go to the bottom of the bottom lip. So hopefully you can see these red marks here. All right. So what I want to do now is just kind of go over some measuring. So the first thing I would do if I were drawing is get that shape and then establish the axis line, the eyes line, nose line, mouth line. So the way you would do that is you would kind of imagine this on a flat plane here and ask yourself, where do the eyes go? So are the eyes right at halfway? Are they lower? Are they higher? So if I were to follow this kind of diagonal there, I would say that the eyes are slightly higher than halfway, but you want to keep this diagonal. If you didn't, if you went this way, they would be a little lower. So you want to kind of imagine that diagonal going up there so that when you put in your eyes, you can get in this curve, because remember that the skull is a round form. All right. So same thing for the nose. I want to figure out where does the nose go and where does the mouth go. So use this little scale and try to figure out where everything goes, okay? So that's telling me that if I use this scale and everything's going at a tilt, this slight tilt, as if you want to kind of imagine the curve, curve, curve. If you follow that trajectory out, and this is the chin, I would say that the nose is about halfway in between the eye line and the bottom of the bottom lip, okay? So if I did that, I would look here and say the nose is, that's the space for one nose. Come down, I've got 2 and a little bit less than 3, all right? So when you make your nose mark, then you want to take that and count 1, 2, and then you should have a little bit less than 3 going down. All right. Also, when you make that nose line and then you go for the bottom of the bottom lip, that's pretty much about halfway. So I'm measuring this. So the bottom of the bottom lip is right about halfway in between the bottom of the nose and the chin. Okay. So now I need to figure out where to put the nose on the face. So here I'm going to measure the width of the nose. Well, first I'm going to start with my 3 circles. So I'm going to start with a circle here and a circle there and a smaller circle there. Keep in mind, anything that is 3/4 view, the smaller side, everything's going to be a lot, it's like more squished. So you're only seeing half of everything pretty much. So when I start my drawing, I break this down into 3 circles. 1, 2, and like a little half circle over there. Then I look at that width and I count how many going across. So I'll start to the right. So I have 1 nose there. about 2.5, including the main nose. So when I draw my main nose, I take that and count over. So this is 1, I count 2.5, okay? So if I take, that is including this nose. So again, I take this nose, this is 1, and go 2, and I should have a half, all right? So now I need to look at how many noses are on this side. So I have a little bit more than a half over there. So if I take this nose off and put it over there, I should have a little bit more than half a nose from this space to here, okay? So that'll tell me where to put the contour of my face. So after you've drawn your kind of egg shape, that'll help you bring in the contour so that you know if your face is too wide or too narrow. From there, I want to look at from the edge of the nose going up. Okay, I call these chopsticks. I find these angles there. And so that'll tell me that this is the interior corner of the eye, that's the exterior corner of the eye, and it's sitting on that eye line. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Okay, so if you've watched my previous video, this will make a lot more sense. From there, I'm going to now look at from the edge of the nose to the corner of the mouth. All right, so that'll give me the placement on that. And a couple ways to check as well is you can, so as you're starting to get your contour, which is the edge of the face here, you can find the measurements from the nose to the mouth there. Also check from the mouth to the eye on both sides to make sure that you're right. And then check how wide is that measurement for the mouth and how many going across do you have. So if I follow this kind of curvy trajectory, then I can go tilt it a little bit. I have pretty much one, so this mouth and then another, the same width of the mouth over here, okay? So if I take the mouth off, I've got 1 and 2. So how many over here? How much is this space over there? So if I look at the space of the width of the mouth and come over there, I've got a little bit less, like a third of the width of the mouth is hanging out over there, all right? Now, how tall do I make the face? How on my egg shape, where do I put the hairline? Here's where you want to start using the eye. So if you measure the eye and then take the eye off and change it vertically, you can count vertically until you get to the hairline. So if I take this space for the eye, take it off and count going up 1. So I would say maybe 1.5 is where I'm going to get to that hairline, okay? You can also make these little angles to figure out where the eyebrow goes, and really pay attention to this angle right in here for that eye socket. I do want to point out that drawing or painting anybody's portrait in 3/4, check out the shape of the eye over here. It's a lot more almondy and relaxed, where over here you've got it a lot rounder. And that's just because of the perspective. Everything is starting to shrink. Same way with the mouth. So this portion of the mouth is more elongated and this portion of the mouth is very smushed, okay? So hopefully that helps. That'll tell you, so let's see, double check. So you take the nose off, count going this way, take the mouth off, count going this way, take the eye off, count going vertically. So those are kind of the little tips and tricks for getting your proportions on the face, okay? You can always use the eye to compare spaces, and even in the bubble of the hair. So when you start doing the hair, you'll just use it as a bubble, and you can take the eye and measure how many eyes going across until you get to the contour of the hair, and same thing with up. So basically in portraiture, it's all about spatial relationships and finding something to use as a comparison. So I always start with the nose, but then as I start to progress, I start to use the eye to kind of find other measurements. All right. So hope that helps. Thanks.